Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Yeah. Now that I'm on vacation, I'm happier because I get 1 extra hour of sleep. Um, the reason why I get went so woke up so early the previous days is because that's kind of the best time to get if I really want to get a whole hour of getting in the word if I want to get that long. Because I do the reading initially with reading the verses and then dictating what I thought initially without looking at commentary. And then when I do the stream, it's after I do look at the commentary, what others say about it, and kind of help me with aligning a little bit of truth or like specific words. Like looking up specific words is kind of a thing I do in the commentary because I'm like, what does that mean? Um, but yeah. Good morning. Thank you for coming out. One of the things that I kind of want to work on is making sure that I have my initial thoughts on the matter and to go ahead and, you know, talk that out before I even look at any kind of commentary and stuff like that. I think that's uh, me just not being tainted by what other people say and what initially I know based on my experience, thoughts, my own reading of the word over the many years I've been a follower. And yeah, I've been a believer since when I was in ninth grade. It was like eighth grade, ninth grade. It was kind of like that time of year and stuff like that. And just make a short testimony is I was just hanging out with some friends and one of my friends said, "Hey, would you like to go to church with me?" And my friend had a local church that he went to. Yeah, I've known about Jesus all my life because my parents in particular went to a church when I was younger. So I always liked to go to the daycare or the elementary school stuff. It was not until like eighth and ninth grade where I started getting a little bit more serious and people where I actually started to articulate those ideas of God and following God and all that kind of stuff. And so yeah, I that's when I was able to kind of hear about God, and eventually I accepted Jesus as my Lord and Savior. Um just with my friend inviting me to church. And that's always been, if I wanted to do evangelical conservative way in which to get people to Christ, is just to invite your friends to church. That's kind of a thing. And it still works now. You just have people you build relationships with, just generally like friends, and hang out through school, work, hobbies you do, sports, activities, and just, hey, I'm going to church. You want to come? And you bring them out. And eventually, since they're hanging out with you and doing what you like to do, they eventually like doing that too because it becomes a part of their lives. I don't know. That was the way back in the days. So I've been doing that. I'm not in eighth grade or ninth grade anymore. I am actually older now, have a family, and so the way I reach out is a little bit different than what I did before. But it's still the same. I'm following Christ and doing it differently now that I'm kind of discipling my kids. I'm a discipler myself, so that's kind of a thing I do. For those of you who don't know, but thank you for joining me this morning. I really appreciate you coming. Um, There's so many different things that I could talk about with my testimony and everything, but we're here to read the word. So let's get into it. Thank you for joining me this morning. Wherever you are in the world, in the morning, afternoon, and evening time, whenever you have time to kind of watch a video like this. Yeah, thanks for joining me. Here it is. We're at day 82. Proverbs 13:3-4 in the ESV. Whoever guards his mouth preserves his life. He who opens wide his lips comes to ruin. The soul of a sluggard craves and gets nothing, while the soul of the diligent is richly supplied. That's interesting. Just a reminder, if you want to look at the baselines in the description, I will be referring to that as a way in which we as believers are trying to live. And because we're trying to live a righteous life in the eyes of God, what is right in the eyes of God. And that is our baseline where we are a follower of Christ, because we're fellow heirs and we fear God. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of all wisdom, and wisdom goes hand in hand with our walk with Christ. If we don't have wisdom in our life, then are we actually following Christ? We want to be wise in everything that we do. And so when you're reading Proverbs, you're looking at advice on life, and being how to be a wise person. Of course, Proverbs is looking at things black and white generally, but we are living in a gray world in that we are slowly becoming wider and wider. I'm not being racist. Black and white, like I'm using that metaphor, but being more like Christ. That's what we mean. More like Christ. When we're becoming more like Christ, we were getting brighter or becoming brighter and brighter. Um, and our lives are reflected of that. We'll never be perfect at the end of it all, but at the end of it all, we won't be perfect in this world, because the word is sanctification, becoming more like Christ as we are walking with Him, doing our daily devotions, praying daily, meeting with other believers, discipling, going to meeting with other believers, encouraging one another. There's a lot of basics that you have to that you should be doing if you want to get closer to Christ and closer into the image that He has for you. That when He has formed you, He had this perfect vision of what you are supposed to be. And as you're walking that path, you're walking kind of like, I always think of it as a mountain, and you're just climbing, and eventually you'll reach the top, and you'll be that perfect image that God wants you. You're not there yet. You're not there yet, and it takes a lifetime to get there, but you keep on working at it. You keep on working at it. You don't stop. You be diligent, and that's why we follow the baselines of the faith. Um, Actually, there's a couple of baselines of the faith, baselines w- of wisdom and stuff like that. But if you look in the descriptions below, you could go ahead and read what the baselines of Proverbs is. It's basically right living with other people and yourself. So let's look at Proverbs 13:3-4 in the ESV. Whoever guards his mouth preserves his life. He who opens wide his lips comes to ruin. The soul of a sluggard craves and gets nothing, while the soul of the diligent is richly supplied. So whoever guards his mouth, obviously is in the yellow, preserves his life is in the green. He who opens wide his lips comes to ruin, while the soul of the sluggard craves and gets nothing, while the soul of the diligent. I don't know if Richie supplied. I don't know if the author here did this purposefully in using this. Is there a word that means like double double lines? In poetry, it's called a couplet, but that's in poetry. It's a couplet is like two lines that rhyme, but it's the interaction between two lines. I wonder if there's a word that says an interaction between two verses. Let's look at it. I don't know. This is kind of interesting to me. So in poetry, there is a word that means the word couplet, couplet, couplet means that two lines of poetry text rhymes. That's a couplet. Rhymes. Is there a word like that for the interaction of two lines of verses, like in the Bible, Proverbs? That's an interesting. I would actually use it. Parallelism. Parallelism. Okay, so that's parallelism. Parallel a two-line unit like a Proverbs is often called a bicola, but the interaction between the lines is called parallelism, meaning based. Okay, parallelism. Um, a two-line unit like a proverb is called the bicola. Okay, bicola, bicola, parallelism. Okay, what is it again? Wait, why did I just go like this? Why don't I just copy this? I'm gonna copy and just paste this. There's okay. Two-line unit called the bicola. So, but the interaction between the lines is called parallelism. I don't know if they're interacting, whatever, but what about the way in which the Proverbs? I don't know how to think. Okay, here's what I'm thinking. Look at this. This actually, the bicola comes up all the time in this case, where it starts with the positive right here. Whoever guards his mouth, because if you notice in the past, if you've been noticing, I've been using yellow, green, the yellow to be the subject, and the result is green. For the negative, like the wicked, I use orange, and their thing is purple. So orange, purple, orange, purple. So notice how in these verses the parallelism. I think verse 3 is just a bicola. These two lines, bicola, bicola. But I'm talking the interplay between the way in which the lines are formed. I can look at it a little bit different. I'm gonna look it up a little later. I don't know why I'm getting into the. I'm an English teacher. I look at these things. It's a thing, but if you look at it, you'll see that the we have the positive first and then the negative. And then next preceding verse it says um it does it again. It goes negative then positive. I wonder if that's intentional. It does it a lot. It goes positive, negative, and then negative, positive, which is I know I just been noticing that in the previous uh days. This one did every other. See, there's another one. There's another one. This one does the opposite. Okay, okay, it's however they feel. Oh no. Okay, so I don't know. It's just interesting that they do it that way, but it's not consistent, so it doesn't really matter. Not a big deal. Oh, we're on the wrong one. Okay, so let's actually go over the verses. All right, whoever guards his heart preserve his life, and they talk about this a lot. You'll hear this in Proverbs a lot about your mouth and the things that you say. And I just want to say right now, you really need to guard your heart. Tourette's is a thing, and that's a verbal condition, but seriously, it makes me think about this one video where someone had asymptomatic Tourette's. Anyways, look it up. It's pretty funny. Whoever guards his mouth preserves his life. Literally, you need to guard your heart. See, I said guard your heart because that kind of like goes with it. Because out of the outflowing of your mouth, your heart speaks. And that's one of the baselines is watch what you say because your heart is it. And I want to let you know that your heart is not perfect. You are born into sin because of Adam and what Adam did in the garden and where sin came into the world. And so when we're born, we have the sin nature is what we term it. And we have a proclivity. Is that the word you use? Proclivity? Yeah, I'm practicing my words. Proclivity. What is proclivity? All right. A tendency to choose or do something regularly, an inclination, a predatory. Okay, okay. So I was right. So we have a proclivity to sin. When we see situations, we automatically judge, and we're not necessarily positive, and it's not always good. and we have a proclivity towards sin and negativity and wickedness, and it's a thing. And so what comes out of our heart is a lot of crap. Oh, sorry, excuse my French, but I did make this so that people could comment, so it's not for kids. Literally, things come out of your mouth is ridiculous if your if your mouth is unchecked. And a good example is my 13-year-old son, and he has ADHD. He also has a syndrome related to "look at me, I need attention" syndrome. And so he says a lot of stuff. And my daughter, 11-year-old daughter, feels the brunt of it. I get triggered by it. So I have to watch my heart because I want to just throw hands with them because of the things he said sometimes, because it's not kind. And it's near and dear to my heart because that's how I was back in the days. So we have to learn that self-control of guarding your mouth, of things you say, because the things that are in your heart are not always good. Not always good. That's why every single day you have to train your heart, train your mind to think of things that are lovely. And I'm thinking of that one verse: whatever is lovely, whatever is pure, whatever is good, and all that kind of meditate on those things. Think about the focus on those things. I forgot what verse that was. I'll look it up again. I'm really good at remembering parts of verses and summaries and stuff like that. Actual memorizations and Bible memory, I have to specifically remember those and continuously do that. That's why I'm trying to memorize the Sermon on the Mount, all of Matthew 5, 6, and 7. Yes, I'm trying to do that. I got to a point where I memorized all of chapter 5 and started chapter 6, but again, Bible memorization is a thing. Knowing how to recall words from the Bible is really important to kind of guide your heart. So, and then if you're guiding your heart into being positive, thinking things of God and being righteous, then the things that come to your mouth will be life giving and stuff. If you look at the description below, you'll see that uh, the words of the wise is life giving and encouraging, and people recognize that. And so you want that kind of life where, and you're preserving your life. It says preserves his life. It saves you in your relationships and saves you in your own life. But the person who opens his mouth and says whatever thing that comes out of his mouth, it leads to your ruin, because in our hearts is wickedness. It's deceitful. It's self-serving. It's argumentative and destructive and all that kind of stuff. So you gotta watch yourself. Watch your heart. Watch your mouth. Basically, watch your mouth, because we got poo-poo mouths, is what parents would say to their kids. Yeah, the poo-poo mouth. I don't know how am I dating myself? We don't say that anymore, but what, I don't know. Do they say that anymore? I don't know. Anyways, verse 4. The soul of the sluggard craves and gets nothing. Yeah, a sluggard is not removed from desires, but the sluggard desires things that he does not work for, which is not a part of our life. Our human condition is work. And I think it has something to do with, I guess it would be further study. It has something to do with when God cursed Adam when he got kicked out of the garden, that Adam will work the land and he'll toil and toil all of his days. Yeah, our human condition is that we're going to be toiling and working and grinding all our life. I call it the grind. And it was a grind. I want to tell you, it was a grind. I was working part time, almost 40 hours a week, because you know that if you work 40 hours a week, then your company has to give you like benefits and all that kind of stuff, whatever. But I was working my butt off and going to school at the same time. And then finally I landed a job at a school, actually a couple schools. So I was working on my actually I got a job and I had to start working on my credentials. So I was working at a private school. I started at a private school, then I worked at a charter. And during my charter years, I was going to college to get my master's, and at the same time working on my credentials, which was Actually, I started during my time in private school. I was working on my master's, and then when I was in charter, it was like overlapping when I changed jobs. I was working on my master's, and so or being my credential. So it was master credential. Yeah, it was a thing, I guess. Maybe they do that now. So it's a regular thing actually now. If you're an educator, you can work on your credentials and get your master's at the same time. It's a thing. So I'm a master. If you want to call me master, that's fine. I do have a degree. So I guess when you graduate with bachelor's, you could call, oh, I'm a bachelor. Woohoo. And when you're a doctor, you're a doctor. When you get your doctorate, they call you doctor, even though you're not a doctor, but you have a degree, doctor. So doesn't that mean if you get a master's, you could get called master? Makes sense to me. But no one calls me master, unfortunately. But but a sluggard, that was a lot of work. And just like I say, I think I'm living pretty well. I paid off all my debts, as in my $60,000 loan, whatever thing I've had to pay for my college career, which I think is cheap compared to what other people may have. I We paid it all off. My wife and I paid it all off. We're done. We're done with that. And it was a lot of work, a lot of work to get out of debt. And it was a lot of work to get the degree that I had to get because I was literally so tired. I would drive into school to get to my class. I had some time, so I was falling asleep while driving on the road. Um, if you want to know where I live in the world, the freeways that I was at was crazy freeway. It's called the 405. Those of you who know the 91, the 110, all those during rush hour. It's ridiculous. And so I grinded it out and I'm reaping the benefits. I have a decently paying job as an educator. I'm finally moving to a bigger house because we could afford it, generally speaking. Rent is still expensive. It's more than what it should be. And actually, if I'm there for a couple of years, they should lower the rent for being such a good tenant because I think I'm going to be a good tenant. But I worked hard. So, second part of verse 4, the soul of the diligent is richly supplied. I was diligent in those matters. I'm still working hard and I feel like I'm better for it. People see my work ethic and they trust me in my job. I'm just saying that. And I have teachers out there who are not doing their job and their reputation is ridiculous. I don't care if you had a kid. I don't care if you've been working forever and you're ancient. You find ways in which to make your you are doing diligently what you should do. So if you're getting tired and you can't do your job anymore, retire. Find another job. Be an admin or something. um Find something else so that you don't affect other people in your lack of diligence because you're working hard and being diligent, but don't be the sluggard and you're basically affecting everybody else. That's my little 2 cents on teachers and stuff like that. You have to be on your game to be a teacher because your job is to affect the children in their growth. And it's unfortunate because um the teacher that's supposed to be helping my child read is what I've heard is just showing movies and doing worksheets. Seriously, they need the interaction. They need to talk. They need to kind of be doing things, and which I should be doing more, is getting my students to talk more. So, anyways, because I'm an ELD teacher, so I'm doing a lot of teaching them grammar and writing sentences and um, doing those kind of things, but they need more conversation in their lives to help them with their conversation. Anyways, that's just my thing, and I know it, and I'm trying. I'm not making excuse. I do make excuses, but um, I have no excuse for not giving them appropriate content. So I do my best. So with what I have, and that's what we all should do. We have resources out there. Use them. It's not a We have internet. Seriously, you could look it up. You have other teachers, steal from other people. So one of the things about being a teacher is that you can steal from others and you don't get sued. unless it's curriculum, actual curriculum from companies, then you should do that. And there's a thing called, if you want to know, if you're an educator and you're watching this, there's a thing called teachers pay teachers, and you could purchase pretty cheaply curriculum. So if your district sucks and doesn't give you curriculum for some reason, I think they should, to help their teachers. Uh, teachers pay teachers help. So there it is. If you need some help and then you could always message me and I'll go ahead and help you out. So there it is. Anyways, if you're diligent, yeah, you'll reap the rewards and it's going to be positive and it's going to be a great thing. Anyways, so two things on these verses. One, guard your mouth, because it will preserve your life. Work diligently because you'll be richly supplied. That's just the way life is. If you open your mouth too much, you'll hurt yourself. If you're a sluggard, you'll get nothing. So if you're lazy, you'll get nothing. So work hard, watch your mouth. That's all I have for you today. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.